Have you seen homes disappearing from the market, sellers pulling their listings off the MLS, and a lot of sellers dropping their prices? I'm going to tell you what's going on in the market, what it means for you, and what exactly can you do and where you stand in the market, whether you're a buyer or a seller. What's going on, guys? This is Cody with eXp Realty. I specialize in helping sellers get the most amount of money and help buyers find the next best deal. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want more valuable content just like this. Be sure to check out my social medias if you want more valuable content just like this video. But the point in this video is that a bunch of sellers are feeling frustrated, and ultimately they're pulling their houses off the market because they're not getting the price points that they want, and a lot of sellers are not ready to do price drops. And it's frustrating for both sides because sellers are taking a huge loss sometimes when it comes to price drops, and buyers are starting to get confused on whether their favorite home is on the market and the next day it's not. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining what is going on. So let's jump right into it. Number one, market psychology. A bunch of sellers are necessarily pulling their houses off the market for one simple reason. It's like I said earlier, they don't want to do price drops and they don't want to seem desperate as well. Now, this is not going back to, whether the seller's fault. It also draws back to the agents as well, because what I do is I tell my clients within 2 to 3 weeks, if you're not getting any showings or response from the market is subconsciously telling you you're overpriced. Now, some sellers are not willing to do price drops, it takes a skill from a professional just like me and every other agent to price to sell on the very first, especially since we're in the market of high interest rates, and they're starting to slowly come down, which we're going to talk about later in this video. But a lot of sellers are really not wanting to make price drops. It's because some of them either have a specific motivation where they have to either upsize or downsize with a certain monthly mortgage payment. Ultimately, sellers are just want to wait to either the interest rates do start to continually come down, or ultimately get the number that they want. Which leads to problem number 2, seasonal timing. I recently just made a video about a couple weeks ago about how you can leverage the fall market and still get ahead of 90% of your competition. Now, let me explain that a little bit. Number 1, price and pictures. Number 2 is pictures. But ultimately, you can still win in these slow periods. It all depends on where you're at, what's your motivation, where you're priced at. Because I preach this to all my sellers who are a bit confused or a bit worried about selling in the slower period. The number one thing that is on your back is basically less competition, because everybody is thinking the same thing that you're thinking. Everybody wants to list in the springtime, and what happens when you list in the springtime, there's going to be more competition. And when there's more competition, that means there's going to be less demand for your home, which meaning that it could be $10,000, $20,000 less for you. But ultimately, like I said earlier, interest rates are coming down slowly. And what does that mean? That means buyers are going to start to flood. But this also means that a lot of sellers, going back to number 1, will rather wait till the springtime, because you never know what people's motivations are. Ultimately, I recommend a seasonal, rotation of actually selling the property, because spring to summer is going to be the worst time, especially when there's a lot of competition. But if you actually want the most attention, the fall and winter time is going to be the best time for you. And ultimately, you're going to need an aggressive agent. You're going to need a skilled agent to help you out along with the process as well. But at least number 3, the interest rates. Now let's talk about the interest rates. Now, interest rates are slowly coming down, like I mentioned over and over again. And right now, as I'm recording this video, it's in between the 6.5 or the low 6s. But ultimately, it's doing quite well, especially for the fall market. A lot more buyers. I've seen a little bit more activity than it was, a couple weeks ago, almost a month ago. Ever since JP Morgan, decided to predict the interest rate cuts. Now they're doing just small chunks of it. Now they're predicting, there may be even bigger changes. But ultimately, this is the big factor on why buyers are currently hiding right now. And where buyers are slowly popping out right now. This goes back to number 1, the market psychology. Sellers are not willing to drop their prices to, get to the interest rates that buyers are wanting. But ultimately, when these buyers start to come out, their houses are gone. And these buyers are going to be put up and come back to the spring market. And we don't even know what the next spring market will even look like. We can be in, a complete circle where sellers are going to sell in the springtime. They're not going to get what they want. And then ultimately, interest rates may drop again. But ultimately, they're put up. So it's just a continued rotation. But ultimately, this is the main reason why buyers are still putting up, but they're slowly coming out. But ultimately, sellers want their motivation. So ultimately, all of this, what does this mean for a seller? Now, whenever I, talk to sellers, especially when if they came off the market, they expired off the market, the number one thing is that you should have priced to sell at the beginning. Now, pricing to sell is the number one thing that's going to get you the buyers, it's going to get you the offer super quickly, because obviously you can start pretty high. I have no problem starting as high as you can, but within 2 to 3 weeks you're going to have to know that you're going to have to come down. And ultimately, pushing sellers to price to sale, that's going to be your best way to actually get something in the market that we're currently in. So what does this mean? Don't necessarily have to take it off the market because somebody likes your house. They're just waiting for either a certain interest rate to come down, or they're waiting on something that's currently stopping them financially to offer your property. So ultimately what you can do is go ahead and start doing those price adjustments. Go ahead and start retaking those pictures. If the pictures are bad, retake those pictures, because two things will sell the house: price and pictures. And ultimately everything else, to go out there and go find the buyers, is the quickest way to go get an offer. Now, what does this mean for the buyers? Just because the buyers see something that came off the market doesn't mean it's off the market forever. I have access to off-market properties and off-market opportunities, but ultimately, when you see a house that recently just came off the market, it doesn't mean it's not for sale forever. You can always still negotiate an offer. You just gotta figure out what's going on with the seller. Why did they take it off the market? Is there any big issues that a buyer should be aware of why they took it off the market? And ultimately figuring out what's going on before you place that offer, because you never know. They may be ready to relist in the springtime. Ultimately, you can give them an offer right now. They may be taking it off the market because they may have some foundation issues. They may have some big issues that the buyer's not really ready for. And ultimately, sellers want to get the most amount of money, and ultimately buyers just want to find the next best deal. So ultimately, just to wrap this one up, don't be afraid that your dream home came off the market. There's still some negotiation. You just got to figure out why they take off the market, and are they willing to still take an offer. And ultimately, guys, I hope you enjoyed this short video about what's going on in the current market, how you can leverage it, what you can do, whether you're a buyer and a seller. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to contact me down in the description below if you need help navigating through this market. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want more valuable content just like this. And be sure to check out my social medias as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Let's get it.